everyone. Welcome to our regular meeting of the Health, Mental Health, and Education Committee. It's a little past 9, and we're in City Hall, room 1010, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Councilmember Buscaino and Councilmember Referrals. Thank you. We have a quorum, so I'd like to call this meeting to order. Anybody in the audience who want to make a public comment, please fill out a public comment card. Thank you. And seeing that there are no public comment cards, we will move right into the agenda. Item number 1, Mr. Ciela, can you read that in?
You want to close public comment?
Oh, I'd like to close public comment. Thank you. All right. And item number 1.
Item number 1 is a City Administrative Officer report relative to a request from the Los Angeles Department of Aging for authority to execute Amendment 1 to Standard Agreement with the California Department of Aging and to negotiate and execute a contract amendment with Wise and Healthy Aging for the Ombudsman program.
Thank you. Is the Department of Aging here? Great. This is a standard Department of Aging contract amendment for the Ombudsman program. And I was just hoping if the Department of Aging could just give me a brief overview of what the Ombudsman program actually does for our seniors and what information I need to know to make sure all my field staff should know to let our residents know about this program.
Okay. Do you want to? I'll do it. James Don, Department of Aging, Assistant General Manager. The long-term ombudsman program that we contract with Wise and Healthy Aging actually provides both paid and volunteer ombudsmen who visits nursing homes and skilled nursing facilities to ensure that there's no elder abuse occurring. Wise and Healthy Aging is a long-term contractor that we've had for over 20 years. They also are the selected contractor for LA County. So there's economies of scales occurring where they're covering the entire county. They break it into various regions. In addition to the long-term ombudsman, excuse me, they also provide elder abuse education and some very unique programs. One of the programs that they've had for quite a while is where they call seniors who have actually been victimized by financial elder abuse scams, and they have a script where they go through. They basically try to educate the senior that, this is the type of phone call you would get if it was a scam and how you should deal with it. So it's a very valuable service, and we're quite pleased with the work that they provide to us. And if there's anyone who does worry about elder abuse occurring in a nursing home, they can contact our department at our 800 number or the state's 800 number. It's actually the same 800 number. It's key that whatever area code that you're dialing from, you will get routed to the nearest area agency on aging. And it happens, if it's not your particular area, they will give you the correct number to contact and then transfer you. The other great thing about this particular ombudsman program is basically for those seniors who have nobody else and they're in a nursing home all by themselves, at least somebody's actually going in on a regular basis to make sure that they're okay. So it's a very valuable program.
Oh, that's great. So just to reconfirm, so the City of LA is a county contractor?
No, it's two parallel contracts. The city, because we're a separately designated area agency on aging, we receive our own state and federal grants to fund the ombudsman program. It just so happens that the best provider in the area serves both the county and the city.
Okay, so we only do the jurisdiction of the city?
That's correct.
And the nursing home certifications, that's by the state or the county?
That's by the state.
It's by the state?
Yeah.
Great.
California licensing.
And we do the inspections for them and I guess the site visits?
Through the ombudsman, yes.
Great. That's if you could share, I know you guys have pamphlets. If my office doesn't already have it, if you could share with my office and
sure.
as well as the colleagues, we could help distribute that information.
Great. We'll have them delivered to each council office.
Great. Thank you. That's all I have, colleagues.
Real quickly, thank you. Thanks, James. And your name?
Dale Osborne, Department of Aging.
I think this program is more important than ever as we have greater numbers of individuals in the aging population, and that trend will continue for the next 20, 30 years. And just the number of predatory practices out there against our seniors is increasing as well. So this is a very important program, and I thank you for what you're doing to help our seniors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your report this morning. Oftentimes, unfortunately, as a police officer for 15 years at LAPD, I reviewed a number of crime reports that involved our senior community, whether it was elder abuse, crimes against seniors. It was just horrible to know that we're going to have an ombudsman program to help prevent those types of crimes and to reach out and touch our senior community, something else I continue to support, and I appreciate you coming forward with this here in committee. I understand here that the California Department of Aging, we entered into a standard agreement with the dollar amount of $13.6 million. That's correct?
Yes.
And of which $662,837 were spent for this, is going to be spent for this ombudsman program. That's correct?
It's actually an increase of $232,118 as a one-time only
One-time.
grant award. Yeah.
How much of those dollars are going to be directed to programming, and how much of those dollars are going to be directed to personnel?
It's all programmed.
It's all
completely all programming.
It's all programmed.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. And I know in my district, the Wilmington Senior Center, Anderson Senior Center, as well as our community partners in the Harbor Gateway area will benefit from these dollars. So I really appreciate the leadership and support of our senior community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And, I think item 2 is not yours, your department as well, but I just want to really comment on the collaboration that you guys do with the county. I mean, you guys are a model, and please tell your general manager, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And do we have any comment cards? No. So,
Move the item for approval?
yeah, move the item for approval. Unanimous. Item number 2. Mr. CLA, can you read that in?
Item number 2 is the Los Angeles Department of Aging report in response to motion Blumenfield-Buscaino relative to the reporting of elder abuse.
Thank you, Mr. CLA. We wanted to make sure we had ample time because I know for other discussion items we are short on time, so we have plenty of time for this one. And thank you. This was a motion that was originally submitted by Councilman Blumenfield's office, and we heard this in our committee in September. So I want to thank the Department of Aging and thank you for doing so much work on this. And if you could present on what you've discovered so far on the various elder abuse reporting policies in place at our city departments.
Thank you. James Don, Assistant General Manager, Department of Aging. The department was requested to conduct a survey of city departments and whether or not they had a policy or procedure in place for reporting suspected cases of elder abuse. We surveyed 38 departments. We provided them with both written survey forms as well as electronic response under SurveyMonkey. Of the 38 departments that we did survey, 12 of the departments reported back as having frequent interaction with seniors, and that's either because the departments were mandated reporters or that they dealt with seniors on a frequent basis or actually entered the home of seniors. Of those 12, 3 are mandated reporters, the Department of Aging being one of them. As was reported in the last meeting before the committee, as a mandated reporter, not only are the field staff required to have training and report any suspected cases, but every single employee of that department has the same responsibility. So even administrative positions under those mandated reporting departments must be trained and report any instances where they suspect elder abuse. Of the remaining departments, actually 5 of the other departments that are not mandated reporters have policies or procedures in place, mainly because of the frequency of some of their staff dealing with seniors. So as an example, water and power, their customer service representatives and their meter readers because they have so much contact with seniors. They have a procedure in place. As a matter of fact, we worked with them on establishing those procedures quite a while ago, where if they come across any senior that looks like they're the victim of elder abuse or self-neglect, they have a method of reporting to us, and we would basically walk them through the criteria to see if they need to report to APS. I have mentioned in my report that last year alone, for 2015, we had 444 referrals of suspected elder abuse. And most of those referrals actually were from the Department of Water and Power. About, I think, 127 of them were suspected cases of elder abuse. The rest were cases where they were seniors that looked like they needed some sort of support or assistance. A lot of the seniors that, when we checked up with them on those reports, they were seniors who were usually living alone and living on fixed income, like just Social Security. So in those cases, we basically referred them to a care manager at one of our local senior centers to make sure that someone assesses their needs and provides them with assistance, if it's going to be a home-delivered meal or maybe assistive transportation or even in-home services, which are things such as helping a frail senior bathe, dress, or prepare meals. Other departments that we also have working relationships that have procedures in place would be building and safety, Rec and Park, who did report here at the last meeting, as well as housing and community investment. I was very glad to hear, and I did make an error in my report. I didn't include LACERS, City Employees Retirement. They do have a policy in place on reporting cases of suspected elder abuse with their benefit specialists.
Who is that, I'm sorry?
LACERS.
Lacers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had them as part of the 5 departments that had frequent interaction but didn't have a policy. It was a typo on my data entry. I apologize for that. So of the departments, remaining departments that have frequent contact that do not have a policy in place, we have the Library Department, Fire and Police Pensions, Department of Disability, and Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. And I think in terms of the Library Department, that they would really benefit from training. One of the things that we would look for in an instance of elder abuse, especially, is isolation. Usually, a perpetrator would try to isolate a senior from others, from family, from neighbors. So I would expect that seniors who can actually go to their local library, it would probably be more instances of neglect, self-neglect, that they would be looking for, but you can never tell. I mean, if they spot someone with physical signs of elder abuse, it'll be great if we have those additional eyes out in the community. And for the remaining departments, the other 25 departments, they really don't have frequent interactions with seniors, and they don't have a policy in place. However, in conducting this survey, I informed all of those departments of the arrangements that we currently have with the other 8, where there's a reporting mechanism where they know to come to the department, and we would help them determine whether or not it should be reported to Adult Protective Services, or if they just need a referral to supportive services from one of our senior centers. So they've all been made aware of that arrangement, and we welcome any of the departments if that's what they so wish. So in my recommendations in this report, the department is recommending that any city employees that have frequent interactions with seniors or enter the home of seniors should receive an annual training on recognizing the signs of elder abuse. For those departments that don't, it really makes more sense to let their general manager determine which employees should have some sort of training. The other recommendation in the in the report is that we should try and take advantage of the personnel department's online training. And that way, each department can determine who should be taking the course, as well as allowing employees to self-select that if that's something that they want to do. My estimate is just based on the 8 departments that have the frequent interaction and policy, we're looking at close to 3,400 employees that would be trained annually to recognize signs of elder abuse. And I think that's a great first step. The other final recommendation that's in this report is simply that in June is the International Recognition Day for Elder Abuse, sponsored by the World Health Organization. I think that would be a great position for the city to take to recognize that day. And my final comment is that it was very interesting in preparing this report back as I started learning more about the 440 referral cases and some of the things that we as a department really like to do, such as establishing a connection with all the various city and county and state agencies on how to handle suspected cases. For instance, in my review of resources, and I do mention it, there's a crime victims program that provides cash to assist victims of crime, either with temporary new housing or whatever else, medical bills, I guess, from injuries. It would be wonderful if we had a process where we could hook up seniors who have been victimized with this source of assistance, financial assistance, because financial assistance is hard to come by. But the department itself is not really funded to do this type of work. As you've already seen in the previous item, we're funded to contract for long-term care ombudsman services. So what we had prepared for the 16-17 budget was a budget package requesting 2 additional positions for the department, one specifically to handle elder abuse as part of our elder justice initiative. And I've just learned the other day that that particular item is not going to be included in the mayor's proposed budget. But we're hoping that as we get more feedback, that we'll have some additional performance metrics to bolster our requests in the future. I think the fact that it's acknowledged that only 20% of all elder abuse incidents are reported, that there's a large need to provide this type of service to look out for seniors, and hopefully at some point we'll get those additional resources at the department. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Great report. Earlier you said that fire department and police department, and I also think city attorney were not surveyed, right?
Correct. I did not survey those departments mainly because, well, for police and city attorney, they're part of law enforcement and they actually have their protocols. They're actually dealing with the cases. With fire department, as was testified in the previous meeting by fire department paramedic, they have their protocols in place. They're also first responders, so I didn't see a need to survey them as well.
So their protocols include you guys, or how does it?
No, their protocols are to contact law enforcement or APS directly. And the same thing actually for us. As a mandated reporter, we have to report suspected cases directly to Adult Protective Services or law enforcement. As a matter of fact, let's see.
While you're looking for that, if we can add also city attorney wasn't in
Yeah.
there as well.
City attorney.
I'm sorry?
You can ask why city attorney wasn't involved in this in the survey.
Oh, because, and maybe I was wrong to make that assumption, because I lumped them in with LAPD, that they're dealing directly with the crime of elder abuse and responding to that.
On filing of the cases?
Yeah. That's why. If I'm wrong, I would definitely reach out to the city attorney and update my report.
Okay. No, it makes sense, but I think later on I'm going to instruct the department to reach out to them and survey them as well. I mean,
Okay.
you might be absolutely correct, but just to make sure that we have some sort of
Okay.
consistency and see what they're doing, and it might also spark another idea of better collaboration.
Right.
So I'm going to ask for that later on a recommendation. And your report also discussed the FAST team, a joint elder abuse task force formed by the city attorney's office, the police department, and the long-term care ombudsman.
Right.
Can you kind of talk about it and the functions and activities of this task force?
My understanding was that this FAST team was established, I think it was over 10, 15 years ago. As you already said, it's a collaboration between those various agencies, and they meet on a regular basis to discuss cases. They also meet to seek additional grant funds in terms of fighting elder abuse. So usually they apply for Department of Justice grants on crime prevention.
Okay. I have a couple of recommendations, but I'm going to have my colleagues ask questions as well. But I just wanted to say that this is very important because our our senior population are at risk of being homeless, especially those who are, what's the word that you used? Not just elder abuse from someone else, but on themselves, who are
Self-neglect?
Self-neglect. There's a lot of hoarding issues, and they are at risk of becoming homeless, of possible eviction, not because they don't have money, but they just forget to pay the rent.
Right.
Pay the rent. So,
Right.
and I think it's important that we have that this is a great look at how we could do a coordinated entry system like we're doing now for the homeless system, and see how we could connect with that. But I'll open it up to.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just thinking when you're mentioning that the whole age in place goal of having seniors age in place and not necessarily go somewhere else in their twilight years, and how that goal could inform our way of dealing with the shut-ins and the ones that isolate themselves and maybe have hoarding addictions, et cetera. If we could figure out how to, reach them better than we do now, maybe by working with the immediate surrounding neighbors. Usually when situations like that exist, people in the neighborhood know it.
Yeah.
But maybe outside a small circle, others don't. Years and years ago in Glassell Park, I had a situation like that where everyone knew that this person stopped paying his utility bills, and his house started just kind of caving in on himself. He was a hoarder, and he died in a fire. And those cases are usually known by the immediate neighbors, but maybe not by authorities beyond that.
Right.
So that type of knowledge would be helpful, so we could intervene. And then in terms of the report with recommendations, including the city attorney, which is good, just want to make sure that would also then, they would report on when it's necessary to involve the district attorney for felony abuse or filings, because if you have elder abuse, it's a felony. Seldom is that going to be a misdemeanor. And so I would just want to make sure that we have the full authority of the law to make those connections as well.
Great.
Thank you.
If I could just comment on that, I think what Councilman O'Farrell said is so important. As you stated in your own report, you said you suspect only 20% of our cases are being reported.
Right.
And the baby boom generation are already seniors or becoming seniors.
Right.
And a lot of these issues of hoarding and whatnot and onset of early dementia, especially if they don't have family members. It's a matter of trying to reach out to them and trying to ask them if they want services. And it's that point when we could take conservatorship over them, but it's hard to pinpoint that time. So it's
Right. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think I had mentioned briefly about one of the projects that we had funded in the past, and that was a program with Bethesda Legal Services to actually open an office at one of the courthouses to provide training to family caregivers on how to apply for conservatorship. It was quite a great success. Unfortunately, I believe the funding, it was jointly funded between us and another funding source. The funding eventually ran out, and they couldn't continue that program any longer. But why they had it was actually quite successful.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm happy to partner with Mr. Blumenfield on this motion and getting a report on elder abuse in the city of Los Angeles. I've been blessed to have a 95-year-old grandmother who's with us today, and she's blessed to have her siblings take care of her, but I know there are other 95-year-old grandmothers who aren't afforded that opportunity. So it's important that we make sure that they're not victimized, especially when they come in contact with our city family. So I appreciate the comprehensive report, rather, and I support Mr. Rue's suggestion and recommendation to include LA Fire Department, the Police Department, the City Attorney's Office, to include them in the survey. From what I understand, you mentioned that you put in as we're getting ready for the budget cycle and making our budget recommendations for the next fiscal year. The department has asked for 2 positions.
All right.
You also mentioned that you want to make sure that other city departments are on par with those who come with frequent contact with seniors, to make sure that they have procedure policy in place to report elder abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you need to make sure that you want to train other city departments. So are you putting in a budget request on training costs moving forward?
That was part of what those 2 positions we would be taking care of.
I see.
Yeah. Of the 2, one was going to be more of the specialist in the elder abuse and elder justice. And the second position that we asked for that new unit was going to be taking over a lot of the presentation training work. Right now, we have sporadic training in terms of emergency preparedness. So we had wanted a position that would take care of those type of presentation, as well as any elder abuse awareness presentations that we currently don't do. As a matter of fact, all the training that we currently assist with is actually through Adult Protective Services. We basically coordinate with them. So when we have a audience arranged for a training event, like family caregivers, we also try and coordinate with APS so that they would send somebody to our training event so that they could cover issues of elder abuse as well.
And can we use APS to train our city family?
We have been. As a matter of fact, we're usually the ones who help coordinate setting up those trainings. And depending on the demand, the future demand, we would either try and arrange something with them or develop our own training.
Seven city departments already have a policy and procedure in place that come.
Yeah, actually it's 8. That was my mistake.
8, sorry.
Yeah.
You mentioned, lacers, right?
Yeah.
So there are other city departments that too come into frequent contact but need the added training.
It would be nice if they were, of those other 4, the one that I think would benefit the most is actually the library department.
Well, I feel we need to support the department in response to this motion, and obviously it's going to take money to hire up and to ensure that we have the personnel in place to train our city departments on how they deal with elder abuse. So sorry to hear that it's not a priority moving forward, but I believe it should be, and I think we collectively as a council, when it comes to budget time, we should advocate for that so that you have the appropriate tools to ensure that our city departments know how to deal with elder abuse. Can we use any state grant dollars to apply and apply for grant dollars to help with some of these training needs?
I think that would be great. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things that we would like the lead in the new positions that we had asked for to do. When in the preparation of this report, we did notice that they had recently released a grant opportunity under the victims, Cash for Victims Assistance.
Uh-huh.
They were releasing one specifically for elder abuse. Unfortunately, as we were reviewing the criteria for that particular transport, we do not have the infrastructure in place, and it would be something that this new position would be working towards so that we could apply for that type of grant to bring additional resources to the city so that we can take care of victims.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Buscaino, thank you for your leadership on this. I apologize. I forgot you were also the maker of the motion. I should have had you lead the discussion.
Thank you.
But next time. But thank you. This has been very informative and helpful, and it brings us a lot closer to our goal of creating a clear citywide policy for reporting elder abuse observed by our employees. So we talked about several things. So the first thing is if you could get us your budget request that we were talking about that's not included in the mayor's proposal and share it with us so we're a little bit more briefed and ready on that. And two, if you could, as Councilmember Buscaino was talking about, finish the survey and to include LAFD, LAPD, and city attorney who are mandated responders so we could get a more comprehensive report.
Okay.
And they're included in the citywide policy. And I know you're highly advocating for training, which I fully agree with, and training is key. However, I think a policy, a system-wide policy, is also as crucial.
Oh, yeah.
So, and in your report, you highlighted that 8 departments have an elder abuse reporting policy, and a few additional who do not have, who do have frequent interactions, don't have a policy set in place. So, if you could set a cohesive policy with after you finish surveying the first responders, on a citywide policy with the 8 that does have a policy and I think 5 departments that don't, and try to combine to create our a cohesive policy and a protocol. But not just that, as Councilman Referral was asking, after you create that policy, if you could kind of show us a linkage chart from beginning to end,
Okay.
that might go beyond our policy, but when we hand it off to the DA or when we hand it off to different departments, just so we could have a more comprehensive view of when someone comes into our system, that what happens at the end goal.
Okay.
So 60 days
Sure.
or whatever 30 days?
No, 60 days is fine. I apologize that it even took me this long to get this one back, but between our department moving for the 3rd time and waiting for the general managers to actually
Right.
respond to my survey, because I had to send a second letter out to everybody to say, could you please submit your responses? So,
We could help with that. That's right. We'll make some calls.
well, thank you very much. If I have any issues with these 3 remaining ones, I'll be sure to reach out, but I don't think I will.
Is there anything else you want to add to this?
You use SurveyMonkey? Is that what you use?
I use both. I actually we sent out the traditional hard copy letters with the survey attached to each city department surveyed. And in the letter, I included the SurveyMonkey link so that instead of submitting paper, they could actually go online and submit electronically. And we actually scanned the letter and the survey and emailed it out to all the general managers.
How long
So-
does it take to fill out the survey?
Oh, maybe about 5-10 minutes. I kept it down to like 4 or 5 questions because I really didn't want to, I figured if there were any real issues, I could follow up with the departments later.
Totally.
So,
Let me just suggest, Mr. Chair, James, if you run into a hiccup with that and a number of days go by, contact the chair. We'll get on it.
thank you very much. I really
Yeah, because that's
appreciate
really,
that.
there's a sense of urgency here, and if we have to light a fire, we will.
Or if you want the next letter to go out from the chair of our committee, from myself, we could double it up with your letter.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So, anything else you guys want to add to the report? Okay, before we move this motion, any public comment? No. No? Great. So 60 days, and we'll keep it in the committee?
That's good.
So, unanimous right there?
Yes,
Thank you. And we are done.
All right.
All right. So,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.